Welcome to the channel, I'm Hayes, I'll talk movies all day, so subscribe right now if you want to be entertained. And today, I want to do something a little bit different and talk about movie posters. Now I saw somebody tweet out on Twitter, or should I say X on X? Anyway, it was a while ago and I don't have the link anymore, but it said something to the effect of, movie posters with a lot of people in them are terrible and Hollywood needs to stop doing it. It also had an example of a movie poster with a lot of people, which I personally felt wasn't a particularly good poster. I mean, it has a nice kind of 80s retro feel, but honestly, mostly just seems uninteresting. Now, it is a comic book movie, so by law, I'm gonna have to go see this film at some point just anyway, and hopefully it turns out to be a great movie, but for now, as far as this poster goes, it's just meh. So it got me thinking, does having a lot of people in a movie poster make the poster bad? Short answer? No. There are loads of great movie posters that have a lot of people in them. So now the question is, what does make a great movie poster? Now, of course, this is subjective and everybody's gonna have their opinions on what they like and don't like. So this is just me trying to explain what I think makes a great movie poster and why. Also, a great movie poster doesn't necessarily mean it's a great movie, just as a bad movie poster doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie. Now, with that said, let's start by looking at this poster for a film called Her. I have not seen Her, so tell MC Hammer to stop asking. Only old people will get that joke. Come to think of it, I don't think I've even seen a trailer for this film, so I know nothing about this movie. But anyway, the poster is just Joaquin Phoenix, who I assume is the lead actor of the film. There's a lot of red. I'm not sure if they used a red tint on his face, or if it's because there's so much red it just looks like they did. Either way, it's a lot of red. Scarlett Johansson is in this movie as well, so even more red. Only clever people will get that joke. Also, it's a very calm image, but perhaps a little bit too calm for me. I like that the poster doesn't seem to be giving anything away about the film, yet at the same time it kind of feels like it's telling you everything about the film. I'm getting the impression that this guy becomes super obsessed with a woman and then dangerous adventures ensue. It's certainly an interesting image as a piece of art, but as a piece of promotional material, it's not really making me want to see the film. It just doesn't excite me enough. It's given the type of film that you watch on a date night and then try to spend most of the evening, not watching the movie. Now let's look at this movie poster for another film I haven't seen. Pearl. This one, I don't even think I've heard of. I found it by searching movie posters on Google, by the way. Now, like Her, it also has one person in the image. Like Her, it also has a lot of red, but unlike Her, this poster actually features a woman. Only social justice warriors would get that joke. This poster, however, I think is telling me a lot more about the film, and definitely feels way less subtle. The text refers to it as an origin story. The lady in the picture, who I assume is Pearl, is making a shh gesture with her finger. She's holding an axe and there is a lot of blood. I'm getting the impression this is about a young woman who has an abusive husband, maybe only even married him out of some tradition. No one would listen to her complaints, and then one day she just had enough, kills him and kills a bunch of other people in the most brutal ways. And not gonna lie, I like the imagery it puts in my head. This definitely makes me want to see the film. So what does that all mean? Is a poster great because it looks interesting as an art piece? Or is a poster great because it makes you want to see the film it's promoting? Now, from a marketing perspective, it's definitely going to be the latter of the two, but from an individual perspective, it is possible to like a movie poster, maybe even like a movie poster enough to want to buy it and frame it and hang it on your wall, but still have no interest in actually seeing the movie. But that being said, buying a movie poster and framing it and then hanging it on your wall when you haven't actually seen the movie seems kind of weird, doesn't it? I mean, I ain't trying to judge nobody or nothing, but if I see somebody do that, I'm probably just gonna call the police and have them arrested on principle. I'll probably get a medal too. But anyway, let's look at a movie poster now for a film that I have seen. In fact, I'd say that Enter the Dragon is probably my favorite movie poster ever. I like this poster so much that I was once willing to pay a guy £500 for a 1973 original print. The only reason I didn't is that I just didn't have the money at the time. Now, I ain't gonna tell you what that poster is worth by modern times, but suffice to say, it would have been a pretty good investment. Anyway, looking at this poster now, it's still pretty damn cool to me. The major players are prominently featured, the colors go together nicely, it gives you a decent idea what the film is about. but it maybe gives away a bit too much by letting you know that Mr. Williams dies in this film. Now for me, I would have watched this movie long before I ever saw the poster for this movie, or more specifically, long before I was ever paying attention to the poster for this movie. But for those who were around in 1973, that's kind of a spoiler. Which bozo thought that was a good idea? But here's the thing, why do I think this is a great movie poster that I'd still pay £500 for? But this, I think, is uninteresting. They both have a lot of people in the image, they both have a similar pyramid structure, they both seemingly have images from the movie itself, although I haven't seen Blue Beetle, so I can't confirm that. In fact, Blue Beetle is technically a better poster as it doesn't seemingly give any major plot or story points away. Yet, it just feels uninteresting, and perhaps that's because so many other movie posters have done pretty much the same thing, and a lot of these movies are within a similar action genre, so it's likely to be a lot of the same people seeing these posters. So by the time we get to Blue Beetle, on a subconscious level it feels like you've seen it all before, because you have. Now I don't know if Enter the Dragon was the first movie ever to use this style of poster, but I'm gonna guess that back then that this style was unorthodox but effective. And now, they came straight out of a comic book. Plus, most of these movies are based on existing franchises. They don't sell because of the movie poster. The poster just exists so they have something for the thumbnail for when it eventually ends up on streaming platforms. Truth is, they don't have to put much effort into the movie poster, and it kinda shows. So perhaps the guy on Twitter was right. Well, sorta right. It's not so much that a lot of people in the movie poster makes it bad. It's just that a lot of movie posters have adopted a very similar style and it's become generic. But as far as what makes a great movie poster goes, I do think there is more to it. I think how you feel when you see a movie poster is ultimately going to be determined by how you feel about the movie itself. The Pearl movie poster is a really cool image and it definitely makes me want to see the film, but I haven't seen the film, so I have no feelings towards the film, and as such, for me, this poster doesn't cross into the realms of being great. Now maybe if I see the film and I love the film, I might come back to this poster and think this is amazing, but until then it's just a really cool image. Whereas, I grew up watching martial arts movies and Bruce Lee was always a name I'd hear around as being the greatest martial artist ever. And I'd seen various clips and interviews with him, but I never actually saw any of his movies until I was around 14-ish when I watched The Big Boss at my uncle's house, and it instantly became one of my favorite movies. I think about a year or two later I started buying a VHS Bruce Lee collection. It was 5 movies, I had to buy them one at a time until I eventually had them all. 5 movies including Game of Death 2, which is awesome, but Bruce Lee isn't actually in it. Well, not exactly, but that's a whole nother video. 5 movies, 5 great movies, but not one of them was Enter the Dragon. So eventually I bought that separately and it was amazing. So for me, the Enter the Dragon poster isn't just a really cool image. There's a personal connection behind it, and I think that is what makes it great. It's when you can look at something that can tell you a story, but the story it tells you is wildly different to the story it tells the next person, because everybody has their own personal connection with that film. Maybe it's the first film you saw in a cinema with your parents. Maybe it was a family tradition to watch that movie every year at Christmas. The point is, it means something deep to you, and the poster is able to relay that meaning in image form. And to me, that is the real difference between a good movie poster and a great movie poster. It's not something you can plan, it's just something you could only hope for. Now that said, yeah, maybe let's avoid the multi-person pyramid posters for a while. A little creativity can go a long way. But that's what I think makes a great movie poster. What do you think makes a great movie poster? Let me know down below, and while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a suggestion if you don't mind.